Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Mike Armstrong podcast show. And this afternoon, we're joined by Annettte Trevorrow, who is an entrepreneur, author, and EMS educator. And she's based in Toronto, Canada. So how are you doing today, Annette? You okay?
I am wonderful. Thanks, Mike. Thanks for having me.
Brilliant,
I appreciate
brilliant.
it.
Nice to finally get you on the podcast, because I know we met a while ago now on Clubhouse, and I've had about 400 guests on my podcast in the last year and a half, and probably the last 50 or 60 have all come from Clubhouse. So it's great to get another Clubhouser on the podcast. So yeah,
Excellent.
tell everyone a little bit about yourself, what you do, and how you come about doing it, etc.
Okay, well, I am a former professional ballet dancer, and I auditioned for the Royal Ballet in London. So my family moved everything back to South Wales, and I used to commute on the weekends. What is now a 2-hour train ride, which was a 4-hour train ride many moons ago. And I was in a car accident, ruined my knee, did a year of intensive rehab, and then became a professional cheerleader. Very strange. Little different than ballet, but I had a wonderful time for 2 years. Then I raised my children, and I was working for an EMS organization that thought I was too funny. And I was getting requests all the time, but I felt that people needed to be awake to learn first aid and CPR. So thanks to that, I started out on my own, and I developed my own emergency first aid and standard first aid curriculum that was approved by WSIB and Health Canada, who set the standards for first aid in Ontario and in Canada, and by the AHA and the EMSA of California, because I have an office out there too. And I am an author of some children's books, some manuals, but I'm most excited about the first aid rhyming book series for kids that I'm working on, based on my children's 2-hour first aid program.
Okay, good.
So the program, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so what does EMS stand for? I know it's something medical, but fill me in.
Emergency Medical Services.
Okay.
But in my case, my EMS stood for Emergency Management Seminars. So when I shortened my name, it was ABC-EMS. ABC for airway, breathing, circulation. Not so that we were in the top tier of any lettering, or back in the day, the phone book. Does anyone remember a phone book?
Yeah, I remember it.
So that was for airway, breathing, circulation, but now we check circulation first and then airway and breathing. So it's CAB now. But through a large event, I was running through the city of Toronto for a modified CPR class for the city of Toronto, free on our Rogers Skydome Center field with the Toronto Blue Jays. And we had kids there, and the feedback was kids can't learn CPR and first aid. And I beg to differ. They can recognize emergencies, they can call 911. So I began to develop this program, and it turned into a 2-hour interactive program for kids, and they learned bleeding, burns, poisons, seizures, choking, when to call 911, scene safety, and they learn it in 2 hours. And they get to rescue one another. So when I was writing the book, originally it was one book, and then I was encouraged to write a series. And I thought the rhyming would illustrate the fun that kids have, because it's not scary to learn. It doesn't have to be presented in a scary way. And there's all forms of learning that we can use. So I'm hoping to develop it into a game. There's some television content there as well. And I'm really excited about that project that I'm working on at the moment. And maybe I'll do some voiceovers in my own project.
Yeah, well, that sounds good. If ever you need a fellow Welsh person's voice for the dad, or for the male
Oh,
role, then I've always
well,
liked that.
absolutely. If you like doing voiceovers, love,
I don't
I'd
mind.
have,
Aye, they're tidy.
I'd be delighted to have you. Delighted.
But it's funny because I directed you into a friend of mine who does a similar sort of thing, and you're both from South Wales. And yeah, there's not many people doing what you're doing, teaching kids first aid and all of that. But yeah, I think it's a great cause, and obviously the more people who know about first aid, and how to administrate it, and how to call the ambulance and when to call the ambulance, and all these sort of things. They're things that make a massive difference to society. They make a big impact, on saving lives and stopping the waste of resource and all these sort of things.
Absolutely. In the Netherlands, they teach children first aid in kindergarten. So they grow up in a society where they pick one another up when they fall instead of stepping over them.
Yeah.
And they have to have their driver's license. Before they get their driver's license, they need their first aid and CPR certification. So it is so refreshing to see. And because kids don't have all the associated fears that we have as adults, they can respond much more effectively in an emergency, and they will go right to the person and check for breathing, come back to the call receiver, will let them know. I've had hundreds of children, not just from my program, and I've taught 500,000 children now, but from around the world. Children have saved their siblings' lives, their parents. David Letterman.
I've seen the programs, where the little kids have saved their mums, and even dogs have saved, by opening doors or getting neighbors and all sorts.
Yes. In fact, there was a lady on Clubhouse who she lost an eye, and it was as a result of being attacked by another dog with her dog. She was trying to save her dog and had a puncture wound in her eye, and she was in my safety tips room, and we were talking about some of these things, but her dog was the one who was pulling her away and actually ended up dragging her onto the porch and just began barking and barking and barking on the porch. So yes, and there's first aid for cats and dogs and animals too. So I'm currently working with the cat lady, our famous cat lady who's in the United States. I'm not sure if you've heard of her.
I've not heard of her, no, and I've not met her on Clubhouse, but I'd like to. Sounds interesting.
Yes, well, I developed a custom program for Dade County Animal Services because they had a terrible accident in there, and no one was really able to write a program for them, and I had the most experience, so I wrote them a custom program. And as a result of that, I thought, well, let me make sure that your program is as safe as possible and try and prevent some of these injuries. And they're usually because people aren't following protocol. But I'm also a cancer survivor of 15 years, 17 surgeries. I feel like the lady from Austin Powers, why won't you die? But I'm still here. Kind of like
you're indestructible.
Yes, rebuilt and ready to conquer the world. And I think I know what I want to do when I grow up now, and certainly passionate about life saving and about making a difference in the world, about being valuable and showing the world. I mean, the song, I'd like to teach the world to sing. Well, I'd like to teach first aid around the world to everyone.
Well, so there's a song in there. You working on was that just off the cuff, or was that something you've been working on?
No, that was just off the cuff.
Yeah, well, I think there's definitely a song in that. A promotional song for an advert.
Definitely. I'll have to put some promotional songs in there. And I was planning on, I'm having my website worked on at the moment. So,
well, I'm part of a 5-person marketing collaboration called BAM Collaboration. And we cover 3 continents, Europe, Asia, and America. And we're all specialists in different areas of marketing. And so if ever you need any help, let me know, and I can get a meeting arranged, and we can all give you an idea of our strategy for you on how you can teach the world to first aid.
Excellent. I'd be very happy to work with you, to listen to your direction. I have of course, having founded a company, and I'm proud to say retained 100% of my business over 15 years. Yeah. And marketing just seems to come naturally to me. The digital marketing is what I need to catch up on, being a dinosaur, and of course, being an in and out of the tech world. And for a while, I worked for the American Red Cross down in South Florida. Yeah. So that's the only time probably for 2 periods in my whole life that I've not been an entrepreneur. And to turn such a big ship around takes so long. It's so nice to be in control. So it's great that you are helping entrepreneurs to meet their dreams and meet their goals.
Yeah, well, we formed a 5-person collaboration, which we're looking for 5 more people, because I want to cover 5 other specialty areas, as well as the remaining 3 continents. Well, 3 active continents, because there's Antarctica, but I don't think we'll get any customers from there.
Yes, and certainly most businesses have been affected by COVID, certainly teaching children in person, teaching adults in person. So we've always had a program where we go in and do a family first aid program, whether it be in someone's home, and we teach all the family together, especially during COVID. And we learn all these wonderful ways to bring our babies into the world, and white noise or a little pool, but many people don't learn how to keep them alive once they're out here in this big bad world. So it's a great way for family, for grandparents to get together and learn first aid. And
have you added in a COVID element, to how to spot the signs of COVID and what to do then and all that? Because that's what I would have done. I guess you probably have done that as well, have you?
Yes, that's part and parcel, of course, of the whole thing. And that's pretty much everywhere now. I like the little wellness signs I see in some of the American commercials that they have on the doors of organizations, businesses, and restaurants that have followed certain procedures for COVID, and then give you a little direction in how to put your mask on and so on. Yeah. But definitely, yes, there are precautions. In fact, to me, it seems so funny that it's taken us until 2021 to learn how to cough into our elbow. Yeah. Well, and not our hands.
Well, my friend as well has been selling and making quite a bit of money selling like face masks and all that sort of stuff as well via her online store, which is connected to a training academy, and she does online courses as well. Do you do all of that as well?
Yes, I'm just in the midst of uploading my courses. In the past, I have found that people don't really like the blended learning courses. And what we instructor trainers then find, and other instructors, is that they're not prepared for the material to complete the course in that particular time frame, according to all the modalities. So they still have to come to someone in person to do that actual certification and the depression of the mannequin and using the AED. But most of the theoretical part of the program they can do online. The problem is they don't necessarily complete it. So a good platform that will not enable them to go forward without completing those components would be good. And I'm sure with some good technical folk out there, I'm sure we can come to something like that. But definitely I'm in the midst of uploading those courses online. Of course, kids, especially kids, they are so tired of looking at that computer and virtually learning. So that's when, the game comes in, and gee, what outcome would change if I did this versus this? And yeah,
I think kids do like watching videos though. And so like another friend of mine's got a health hub academy, and she teaches everything to do with health and fitness and well-being. And she's got a platform. It's like a university online for anything you want to learn about health and fitness. And it's on a platform called Kajabi. And I know she's got she's got like an affiliate scheme or something with them for other people who want them. I'm thinking about getting one myself. I'm going to do an entrepreneur.
Okay.
I'm going to do an entrepreneur academy. But with her Kajabi, you can upload videos, and so you can sort of like download one video, then do some tests or whatever. Then after pass the test before you get to the next level, and then you can download another video and that sort of thing. So it's a bit more interactive, and you can set in those little barriers of little tests, and they've got to pass before they get to the next level and all that sort of thing, which makes it much more interactive and much more sort of they've done it rather than they just skip past it, sort of thing,
Exactly. And certainly for food preparation safety and things like that, I'm not sure if you have WMIS, Workplace Hazardous Material Information System, in the UK or something similar. I'm sure you have.
I think we have something different. Yeah, something different.
Yeah, it's a very, very dry course, so that works well online. But what I'm also putting up online is the Junior Rescuer program that I have for kids at 5 through 12. The testing area was on before and after school programs in daycares, because those were the age ranges. And it actually worked really well, partnering the little ones with the older ones. It works best doing whole schools, of course. But it can also be a small business for a mom who's at home and there are very little materials. I provide a complete outline of the course, and they can take those materials, and especially if they're a nurse, they're a firefighter, they're a paramedic. I find, especially having been at a lot of the emergency cardiovascular care conferences, they're lacking the tools to go in there and teach the kids. So this would provide them with an opportunity to go teach their school, because almost every clinician or firefighter, paramedic, nurse, doctor, you name it, they want to teach their children's class, whether it's kindergarten, whether it's some part of show and tell or something. So even the pictures that I had of these animated or cartoon characters, rather, nobody's really seen anything like that. So they were going Google Gaga for it. So I thought there's definitely something here. And also a business where moms who are at home have, a little bit of an entrepreneur way of having control of their time with their kids, making some money, and not having to put their child in daycare, which is huge.
Yeah, well, So I think my friend who's got the Health and Fitness Academy with the Kajabi, she not only, if you like, sells her own courses, but then she has different sections and gets other people in, and then charges.
That's what I'd like to do. Yes.
Yeah. So you could create, if you like a franchise sort of system, really, where you get all different mums and like say nurses and firefighters to do their own courses, which they then put through your system. So you have like 100 different courses, which are all based on your model and your resources, but it's them doing it. And then they could teach their school, their kids and their kids' school. And so, you have like an infrastructure where then, your Kajabi and your platform don't cost nothing, because you're charging everyone else for their bit, and you're helping everyone create a little income stream, where they're charging, £20 or £50 or whatever for the online course, and they're selling it to their school and to their parents and kids and teachers and all that sort of thing.
Absolutely. And we just don't have enough good children's content, and it's so easy to teach these kids. And I've had them on TV interviewed after live television, and I've had to say, I swear I've never seen this child before in my life, because they're able to describe, abdominal thrust and how the object comes up and out. And, it's really exciting to see that. And my difficulty is because I am long in the tooth and I'm a multidisciplinary educator. So I've taught group fitness, I've taught Pilates. In fact, I got hit by a car just after I finished my Pilates certification. So that wasn't so fun, but I've been having trouble trying to pool all of those things into the way I would set it out on my website, because I do teach Pilates. I am a cancer awareness advocate. I do talk about conversations and how we would have them with our kids about depression and suicide. My uncle committed suicide.
Yeah.
And so, there are so many things that we can put online for so many more people to view, and collaborating with people is something that I've seen on Clubhouse and met people from all over the world that it's really great to collaborate with a group of like individuals, for sure.
Yeah, well, I can definitely connect you to my my friend with the Health and Wellbeing Academy, and you might be able to add your stuff onto hers, see how it all works before building your own, and get other people to add their stuff onto yours.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. So, and I know so I'm thinking about putting together an entrepreneur academy, but I've also got a happiness formula and a success formula, which I want to do the same thing with. So I want to teach people how to be happier, and I want to teach them how to be more successful. I'm going to run by my happiness formula to you to see what your thoughts are on it.
Oh, I'd love to.
Yeah,
I'd love to.
From the sort of medical profession and that. So,
yeah.
So it's called SMART. It's the SMART happiness formula. And the SMART stands for sleep, meditation, ability to perform, random acts of kindness, and targets. And basically, what I believe is I cracked a formula where if you make sure you have at least 7 to 8 hours sleep a night, whatever you need as a human, yeah, because we're all a bit different. But if you sleep for 7 to 8 hours a night, make sure you have good sleep. You meditate or do mindfulness for 30 minutes a day. You look after your ability to perform by doing exercise once a day for 30 minutes. You have a well-balanced nutritional diet and get plenty of water on board, so keep yourself well hydrated. Yeah. Then you do at least 1 random act of kindness per day, but ideally as many as you can. And you also set goals, targets, small, medium, and long-term goals, which you basically set a big goal. You set lots of medium goals, which will help you achieve the big goal. And then you do a daily routine of things you need to achieve every day, which are going to help you reach your goal. Yeah. So daily schedule. And if you do all of those things separately, they all make you happier. But if you do them all together, you get like a compound effect of happiness.
I like that. I think you could even expand that into the fact that we're not all created equal, and some of us have challenges like chronic pain or mental illness that interferes with our happiness. And that SMART goal, which is also another acronym, which I'm sure you're familiar with.
Yeah.
And that could also be modified to include someone who suffers from bipolar or someone who has certain mental illness, suffering from depression, and add some things, acknowledging that it's not as easy for some people. Similar to some didactical behavioral therapy and cognitive behavioral therapy. So I think that's really an excellent idea.
Yeah. So yes, that's what. So that's
anything I can do to help. I'd love to.
Well, yeah. Well, anything you can do to help, anything you can think of would be great. But I actually was living the formula, which is how I come across it, because I was actually just being really productive. I was in flow, like when you're in flow, you're just really productive and everything's just going well and all the rest of that. And I was like trying to analyze why. And like normally I live between 60 and 80% of the formula. but I was living 100% of the formula, and I was basically benefiting from the compound effect of happiness. One thing leading into something else, leading into something else. So I started analysing why I was getting so much done and just smashing it, and why I was feeling so good and everything. And I come up with the formula, like, you know.
That's excellent. That's terrific. I've always tried to live my life with the glass half full. And it seems like throughout my life, I've had reminders, if I haven't reminded myself, having my ballet career ruined as one of the youngest members of the Royal Ballet Company. And, then becoming a professional dancer, then never losing my performance. I put my focus into my kids and raising my kids. I wasn't going to schlep them around to auditions, nor was I going to do that for my own auditions. So I just, threw myself into motherhood. And of course, then I have these little children that I have to keep safe. And I really like hanging out with these little kids. And don't they say the darndest things? In fact, David Letterman, when he was on the Tonight Show, interviewed a little boy who choked on a tater tot. His principal choked on a tater tot. They're little crispy, like chips, as you would call them in Wales or in England. But since you're in Cardiff, I'll call it a fat chip. And so he also reminded him not to talk while he was eating. And so he had flown him in, interviewed him. And the way he learned it was his father performed the abdominal thrusts on him when he was a kid. So that's all it takes to teach a child how to save a life. Just that just being done on them, let alone going into a 2-hour course. But then they also go home and teach their parents. No, that's not what you do. You don't squeeze this hard part of your nose and put your head back during a nosebleed. You pinch your nose and you look at your toes. So it's really it's been a great experience.
Brilliant. Well, I think that's a great place to leave it, because it's great advice. It's a lot about your core, what you do. So how do people get in touch with you if they want to connect with you, if they want to sign up for your courses, or if they want to catch you on Clubhouse, all that sort of thing?
Well, my new URL is abcems.com. And at the moment, my website is under construction, so they can reach me at Annettte Trevorrow. That's tomorrow with the Trev, or if you go to Cornwall, you'll see a lot of Trevorrows. So it's AnnetteTrevorrow.xo. I can be reached on Instagram and also on LinkedIn, where I have a little more information for folks to look at under Annettte Trevorrow. And I believe my other handle is A Safety Net 101.
A Safety Net 101, yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Do people give out their phone numbers anymore? I usually have my URLs all set up.
Not really. Only for WhatsApp.
Yeah, that might be a scary prospect.
Yeah, fair enough. And if you had to leave somebody with one sort of health and safety tip, or one, emergency safety tip, what would it be? Just to finish on.
It would be just to finish off, I would say, make sure you know what to do if you're alone and choking. Recently, there was an artist that died alone and choking during the pandemic. And so it's very important to know how to help yourself if you're alone and choking. So you could take your abdomen and throw yourself over a chair just below your rib cage. If you're afraid to do that, you could take an object, whether something unbreakable, preferably, but you could take an object into your abdomen, just below the ribs, and you would pull in that area. And you would get to the door as quickly as possible, open it. So fire department doesn't have to break it down. And if you lose consciousness, you're there for someone to help, because alone and choking, you've got 40 to 60 seconds of consciousness before you lose consciousness. So call 911, get to the door and open it, and take a first aid class, no matter where it is, and learn a few tips. And hopefully I'll have my channel up by then, and I can come back and visit you and say, hey, I've got more fun stuff for you.
Brilliant. That sounds great. That sounds like a great tip. So thank you very much for coming on the podcast and sharing with me a little bit about yourself and what you do. It's been great chatting with you and catching up. And yeah, just wish you all the best, and hope you have a great day.
Thank you very much, Mike. And I forgot to plug my performance and my acting, but we'll do that next time. And so lovely to meet you. So lovely to find my Welsh clan all the way over in Canada. So I wish you a great afternoon, and thanks for having me.
No problem. All right, then. You have a great day, okay?
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.